Okay, this is just an overview of my schedule for the week. So, when I have duty as well as prep coverages, etc., and anything special that might be going on. Okay, so this week on Monday, sorry, in Writer's Workshop, we're going to look at asking questions. I really want to bring us back to the cue chart again. Something we just did a little bit starting on Friday, but more towards the end that students seem to get really interested into it because of a question that they asked that they got answered. So kind of looking at how can we answer some of the questions that we ask, how can we find out the answers, kind of helping each other answer some of those questions too, and how we can use the resources around the room to help us as we're writing. So then on Tuesday, because we're going to be looking at performing our play, I want to help us create some ads for it so we can decide on a class to invite, create the invitations. So this kind of matches itself up with media a little bit in terms of how can we invite this class to come and join us. On Wednesday, I'm thinking of the idea of instruction because we're getting to the point that we're going to have to start getting out this compost as well as continuing to feed the worms. So what do we have to do in order to do so? So that even if I wasn't there, if other students weren't there, we would be able to follow the instructions together. I can even kind of link it to myself with supply plans, right? That I tell people what to do, so now they've got to tell other people what to do. It's like they're the supply teachers, which I think they'll like. And they can also do so even with a topic of their choice. So even looking at home and things that they can do. Again, you could even kind of link it up to the whole concept of responsibilities of some sort as well in the instructions that they write. So I could get them really first to kind of hone in on that. And then on Thursday and Friday, I'd really like to move us into this idea of poetry and linking with it to music as well, especially with the idea of adding a beat and a consistent beat and kind of giving that voice to the poems. We can look even at how certain backgrounds, religions, groups of people, like First Nations people, really seem to have a big oral tradition. So really giving that voice and how can we do so. And maybe linking it to things like the living things, topics of interest. I'm hoping that our snake cam will actually be working this week as well, which it should be, in which case even just having a chance to look at those images and have those images as a way in which to create the words, the phrases, I think will really help. We can also use images from books, or students can pick images of choice as well. So again, also working really on those juicy words, those rich words, what one sounds better and why, and how can we kind of use those words in our writing together. Okay, so then in math this week, on Monday, we're going to be finishing up our art/math, going with the measurement as well, so making sure that it's straight and fits into the given area at the end. So the students have to finish creating the settings, link it in with that elements of design piece 2 to ensure that they have those elements, a reflection on how they've done, and we can also do a bit of a math talk in terms of the components of math that were part of this art. And then on Tuesday, I want us to start on something that will be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which is the design of dolls or action figures. And really creating a design plan, looking at working in a partner group this time and creating a doll, one of which would be heavier, of which would be lighter. And each student would be creating one they can support each other. And I want to make the Talking Tuesdays connected to toys. So they can also look at the math that's part of toys and then incorporate that as part of their actual design too. So and then in addition to kind of meeting that math piece, it also looks at the actual design of some of the shapes and the figures, the number of body parts, the symmetry. There's all kinds of nice options. I think that would be things worth considering. And then we can do some labeling of shapes in each component and stuff in their plan, which they would work on. And then Wednesday and Thursday, there's going to be 2 parts. So the one part is going to be actually creating these toys. And then the other one is making a place for them to sit. And I'm going to go with kind of the inspiration of the kindergartens that my students love, anything that they can do to help kindergarten students. So looking at the fact that when I visited kindergarten classes, it looks like they're really into dolls and action figures, and that they could help inspire these kindergarten students by talking, creating, and sharing what they've done in the hope that the kindergarten students could do something the same. And then that idea of comparing masks and how could they do so? How do they know which one was lighter? How do they know which one was heavier? And then the impact of the mask on material choice and design. And even just looking at even like the chairs in the classroom and which ones would be better for students versus adults and weight, right? Like that whole piece I think goes together a little bit as well, and how that changes if you're putting two people on it versus one person on it, right? And then on Friday, we won't be having our math block because we have the special puppet show. So basically, it'll be replaced with our literacy block on Writer's Workshop, and we'll be doing our guided reading as well. So the math piece won't really be in there. We'll probably just do a little bit on maybe like some quick little oral games and things like that with it, but there won't be a huge math block on Friday. So then for our shared reading this week, one is to review the play because we will be presenting it. Wednesday is the hopeful day for doing that. And then the other piece is kind of creating together the word poetry and adding in that musical accompaniment piece as well, even using some of the nonsense words kind of like in a song, which will also make that kind of Dibbles connection too with it for a lot of the students, because that's where they're working on, and we can also sound out the words together, which also works on that segmenting piece too. So there's like the two pieces that can be addressed with it, and creating one that we can then write together and then read together.